Welcome back, everyone. Great to have you here today. Excited to get into a Total Wellness Tuesday episode that is going to be dedicated to specific symptoms related to this virus. I believe we're now allowed to say COVID, so we're going to say COVID. We won't refer to it as any other names. And the exciting thing is that the more that we learn, the more that we're able to help people. So one thing has come up over and over inside of my weekend Cabral house calls, and that is a question around different varying symptoms for when people get this particular virus and what that may mean, as also the recovery time around that. So I want to go over 3 specific ones today. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't, but they're now becoming a little bit more mainstream, which is a good thing. But the problem is conventional medicine does not do a very good job at dealing with underlying health-based conditions, especially related to nutrition, overall lifestyle, or deeper detoxification processes within the body. It's just out of their wheelhouse. That's all there is to it. It'd be like me asking to answer questions on open heart surgery or, some type of advanced neuroplasticity of the brain. Do I know a little about it? Sure. But that's it. Like, that is not my expertise. So what I want to share with you, though, is whenever you find a lot more of these complex underlying health conditions that conventional medicine knows about, but they don't have the answer for, it's time to look towards, I would even say, ancient wisdom, like Ayurvedic wisdom, traditional Chinese medicine, and then also modern day orthomolecular medicine, which is the study of vitamins and minerals and how they affect the body. So I'm going to share that with you today. There's 4 main specific parts to this, and I want you to know this for yourself in case it ever comes or happens to you or your family in the future. And of course, I want you to be able to pass the information on to anybody else that you believe, of course, it may serve. So here's the thing. We're going to talk about this new thing called COVID tongue. All right, COVID tongue. We're going to talk a little bit about COVID toes, not too much, but we'll talk a little bit about that because that's pretty much more straightforward. And then we're also going to chat about why some people are having a difficult time getting back their sense of taste and their sense of smell. So we'll go through all of that. We'll give you the science, but we're also going to give you, what do they say, 3,000, 4,000, 6,000 years ago in TCM, which is traditional Chinese medicine, or Ayurvedic medicine as well. So we're going to go through, again, both sides of it, combining the best of ancient Ayurvedic-based wisdom with state-of-the-art based orthomolecular medicine, the study of vitamins and minerals. So again, really, really nice to be able to tie the two together because no one form of medicine has to be better than another. We can actually combine the two. So I want to get right into it. There is a new, this is not exactly new because, let's see, it was 6 months ago in Spain, researchers started talking about, and this was in a published paper, which I will link up for you, a report that about 25%, so 1 in 4 of patients hospitalized with COVID had changes to their mouth or tongue. So again, I don't know if you've heard about that, or maybe you've been looking at your own tongue, or after you got the virus, your tongue looked a little bit different. And here's what they found. They found 2 anomalies. One is they found a white coating over the tongue, almost like a white furry coating. And the second one they found was what looked like ulcers on the tongue. Now, in natural health, we call that a geographic tongue. In conventional medicine, they didn't know exactly what to call it, what to say. So whenever, I'm going to give you a little bit of a giveaway. Whenever someone doesn't really know what the root cause is at a foundational level, they start talking in really big terms. And that's because by talking in really big medical speak, then people say, oh, okay, this person must know what they're talking about, and it's on you that you don't know what it's talking about. No. If you are a doctor or an expert in any field, you have to know the information inside and out so that you can talk in the normal vernacular, normal set of words that other people can understand. Because you don't need to use technical medical terms that only make you sound smart and that actually don't help anybody else out, right? I mean, like, what's the point? So if you're talking to another doctor, yeah, absolutely. Knock yourself out. Use all the different Latin, different terminology that you want. But if you're trying to help people talk like a normal person. Like that's so anyway, little rant there to the side. But basically, if you see words like oral and mucocutaneous manifestations, if you see other things like ACE receptors on the tongue, like again, nothing wrong with that. Those are proper medical terms to be using, but not exactly going to be helping people to be able to figure out what the underlying root cause is, okay? So let's go into it. I'm gonna actually just share with you exactly what this white coating on the tongue is. That seems to be a medical mystery to conventional medicine, as well as the geographic tongue that looks like ulcers on the tongue itself. Okay, so there are two specific ways to look at this. I'm going to give you the medical, so state-of-the-art medical-based version of what it could be, and then I'm going to give you the what it's been looked at for about 6,000 years. Okay, so the first one, when we look at the tongue with any virus, this is a specific type of virus, right? COVID's a specific type of virus, but it is still a virus. And it's an upper respiratory virus for the most part. Yes, it can affect other parts of the body. But what we want to look at is the tongue itself and mouth. In this particular case, and we're talking about ACE receptors, there are a number of ACE receptors inside of the mouth and in the tongue in general. So could the virus conglomerate, move around, stick to the tongue to a greater degree? It's absolutely possible. There's no doubt about it. So there could be more localized inflammation. Okay, there's no doubt about that. However, it's not a great theory on that. Okay, it's a decent theory, but not a great theory because it's localized to the mouth. And then what about much more sensitive ACE receptors at other parts of the body? Well, they're not as affected. Well, again, there's a lot of gray area with that. That's certainly not proven. But let's look at what a white-coated tongue has always meant for thousands of years. I want to share that with you from a TCM and Ayurvedic perspective. Now, before I go and share all of this information with you, I have to state two things. One, I've done an entire show on tongue diagnosis before. So I give you what scalloping of the tongue means, a white tongue, little red dots on the tongue, like I go yellow tongue, brown tongue. I go through all of the different coatings on the tongue. I'm going to link that up for you today with all of the show notes and scientific research at stephencabral.com/1873. stephencabral.com/1873. If you want to go there now, you'll be able to see all of those, and then you'll be able to listen to the full tongue diagnosis show after that. Now that I said diagnosis, I have to let you know, when we say tongue diagnosis, we're looking at it from a natural health, TCM Ayurvedic perspective, which is the wording they use. Now, we are not diagnosing any disease on this podcast. If you have these issues with your tongue, it's not a diagnosis for COVID. What I'm about to share with you, in order to relieve a lot of these things and rebalance the body, are not treatment plans for COVID. All right, I just have to state that. These are not cures for COVID. These are not treatment plans. We do not diagnose, treat, or cure any disease. Just want to make that very clear, put that out there. I've given you my FDA statements now. What we're looking at is underlying root causes as to what are the imbalances in the body when the body is under attack. We'll put it that way. So let's go through that right now. So when you get that white tongue or white furry tongue, what you want to understand is that in traditional Chinese medicine, we'll call it TCM from here. It means too much heat in the body. Now, again, whenever somebody hears that, especially for conventional medicine, they almost lose their mind and they say, what is this? Too much heat in the body? That's not scientific. Well, it is. It's just 3,000 years ago, they talked in a different way. That's all. So you just need to bring the information up to modern speak. That's it. So what would too much heat be in the body? Well, some type of rise in body temperature, such as a fever. A fever is not uncommon in this particular virus. But what else could heat be? Well, heat can be any type of inflammation. Well, what is it when you get a virus and you have viral-based pathogens in your body? Well, you have an increase in immune cell activity. When the immune cells go after viral-based particles, what happens? There is a breakdown of that particular viral particle, pathogen, and even tissue, especially if it's infected the lungs or gastrointestinal tract, your GI tract, your digestive tract, or your mouth, and nasal passages, you name it. So there's going to be localized inflammation during the fight to get your body back into balance. That inflammation is known as heat in TCM and Ayurveda as well. There's one more it can be, and that is weakened digestion. Weakened stomach digestion, actually, to be more specific, which is a kapha dysfunction in Ayurveda. So what does that mean? Well, it means this is that when your body is deep into fighting an infection, whether it be viral-based, bacterial-based, whatever it might be, the body is not meant to have big, heavy meals because the blood is pulled away from the stomach because the stomach is not a essential activity at that time. Healing the body is essential. Digesting food, not essential, which is why during this time, you most likely want to be eating lighter, okay, broths and green juices or fasting so that the body can use its energy, not towards digesting a lot of heavy food, but actually towards destroying whatever pathogens are in the body. So just remember, those are the main reasons. And then how do they do it in TCM, Ayurveda, etc.? Believe it or not, back then they had their own versions of functional medicine detoxes. They improved liver detoxification. So they actually did juicing, and they also used certain herbs, and they use cruciferous vegetables too. Okay, so all of those things are great. Cruciferous vegetables are more difficult to break down, so they might just be kind of cooked in a broth, and you're just drinking some broth for right now, or again, some green juices that might juice some of those things as well. Can be really helpful, like a cilantro, parsley, etc. And then you can do a functional medicine detox. Again, this is not a treatment plan, but I do want you to let you know that this has been done for thousands of years, and I mean, I wholeheartedly do recommend it. And then, of course, the last part, whenever you see anything like a paler skin on the face, pale white nails, pale tongue, that's not typically what we're talking about, the white furry tongue, but that always means poor circulation, right? Which could lead to what? It can mean what? Low iron, low B12, low copper, low anything that might cause a lack of oxygen or blood flow. But also remember, during illness, a lot of times the heat is pulled more into the core of the body. So now the extremities, the tongue, all of that will be a little bit lighter in nature. Okay, so now we know most likely what this white furry tongue is. And the good news is it goes away. Okay. So the next part is this, geographic tongue. Now, geographic tongue is totally different. Geographic tongue is when you stick out your tongue, you see actual like whitish, not whitish coating, but a whiter tongue, we'll put it that way, and then red blotches on the tongue. And those red blotches, they actually look like almost like a map, right? So that's what we call it, a geographic tongue. And so when you look at that, you say, wow, what is wrong with my tongue? Now, I used to have all of these back in the day. I had yellow coating, I had a brown coating at my sickest, and I certainly had geographic tongue. Almost always, geographic tongue is a major digestive issue. I see it all the time in psoriasis, all the time. I see it all the time with yeast overgrowth, a lot of the time with bacterial overgrowth, and always relating to a digestive issue for the most part. Now, sometimes it can be mouth ulcers, but mouth ulcers is different than geographic tongue. So I just want to state that there. Mouth ulcers can be like, not canker sores, but like actual hot spots, inside of the mouth. Different than geographic tongue. So in my opinion, conventional medicine in this case is confusing mouth ulcers with geographic tongue. And many people are coming in with geographic tongue. Now, why might they have this yeast overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth? It is possible that when they got this particular virus, possible that they were put on some type of antibiotic. And when they were put on the antibiotic, what happens? Well, a lot of times there's yeast overgrowth, there's candida overgrowth, because antibiotics are anti-life or antibacterial, right? That's what antibiotic transfers to. So when you put antibiotics in, it kills the bad bacteria, but it also kills a lot of the good bacteria. So what's left with the gut? Well, less bacteria in general. So you have more space. Now, since an antibacterial is not an antifungal, it doesn't kill yeast. And so then yeast is allowed to propagate and take up more space in the intestinal tract. And then what does that cause? Well, it causes more candida overgrowth or yeast overgrowth. So those are the main reasons for, again, geographic tongue and white tongue. So now you know what those may be. Again, I can't give you the diagnosis. I have to keep saying that, but it's true. But what I can tell you is this, is that we've done talked about many protocols for the virus, not treatment plans, but we've talked many things for immunity, and I'll link those up here today at 1873 as well. All right, so now let's go over so many people. Well, the COVID toes, let's just go over for a second. And I've read about COVID toes. I never look things up on the show right now, but I'm just going to give you the exact definition of what they're calling it. So COVID toes. So what they're calling it is, along with the swelling and discoloration, COVID toes can cause blisters, itching, or pain. Some people develop raised bumps and rough skin. Okay. And so this isn't in as many people of the population. So I just want to share with you, it's not a major thing like 25%, but what we're looking at here oftentimes is like the paler discoloration of the toes, almost like the white tongue, poor blood flow. And where are a lot of these people? In the hospital a lot of the time. Like that's where the COVID toe is seen. They're lying down. The blood flow is not moving as much through the body. So this isn't spoken about. I mean, this is spoken about for sure in Ayurveda and TCM, but not for viral particular issues. So I just want to put that out there. Oftentimes, again, whiter, paler hands, which we see a lot in low thyroid. Same with the feet, right? Cold hands, cold feet, sometimes even a cold tip of the nose, poor circulation, okay? Can it be anemia? Absolutely, no doubt about it. Remember, zinc goes together with iron to help the thyroid and also with circulation. And just keep in mind, B vitamins also get wiped out when your body's under stress. So it could mean low B vitamins, could mean low iron, could mean low zinc. And that's where I want to take you next. So this lack of taste, lack of smell. All right, this is very, very common. So that's why I want to bring it up to you right now. What we see a lot of, and this is confirmed, I'm going to give you the exact journal statement, confirmed that 87% of mild to moderate COVID cases exhibited a loss of smell. These symptoms correspond to the human phenotypes of the reduced ability to smell, loss of ability to smell, and distortion of taste, as well as a loss of taste. Now, I gave you the non-medical terms. I'll put the medical terms in there if you enjoy reading medical terms. All right. So, and I'm going to go on and just give you one more line and then talk a little bit more about it. So this has been shown because what happens is there's sensory neurons that are targets for this particular virus, and due to a lack of what's called angiotensin converting enzyme, which is the ACE2, good, you're going to hear that a lot. Nevertheless, ACE2 is expressed in the cells that provide metabolic and structural support to olfactory sensory neurons in certain populations of stem cells and blood vessel cells. The findings suggest a potential mechanism for the disruption of olfactory signaling in COVID via neuron supporting cells. Okay, so what they're basically saying is they have no idea why people are losing their sense of smell or taste. They do see a correlation with zinc, and they're trying to make a relation to that. Now, it is very possible that the ACE receptors are affected, which then affect the sense of smell and taste. And there's an overall inflammatory-based issue, and the signaling loop is improper and broken, and that's definitely a possibility. However, there's a bigger possibility and more likely explanation. And I'm a big fan of using what's called Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is typically the correct explanation. So when someone has a lack of smell or taste, there is a mechanism. So there's a mechanism in the body which uses zinc. So the mechanism is actually disrupted when there is toxicity in the body, think pathogen, oxidative stress, think fever, the body creating much more inflammation, cellular breakdown. When there's cellular depletion of ATP, think weakened mitochondrial due to virus. And when there's other types of overall systemic inflammation, zinc is used up to a far greater degree. And let me share with you now why it affects the smell and taste, because people say, yeah, zinc affects smell and taste, but here's why. So there's actually an enzyme that's absolutely critical to maintaining your sense of taste and smell, and it is zinc dependent. So it's called the metalloenzyme that is referred to in medical speak, so metallo being a metal such as zinc, and in the medical terminology, it is referred to as carbonic anhydrase. So which means that if you want to be able to smell your food or smell the world around you, as well as be able to properly taste, you need to have this zinc in your body. So not just zinc at a bloodstream level, but a deeper level of zinc in the tissues that can be used as reserves in order for your body to actually use zinc as an enzyme to create this carbonic anhydrase. So that is the reason why. So when we talk to people about, well, here's what you want to do for overall immunity. You want to be doing something like, I've talked about this before, the daily foundational protocol, level 2 or level 3, the immunity protocol, you're getting vitamin C, you're getting zinc, you're getting vitamin D. I talk about this in upcoming Friday reviews as well, where it's irrefutable evidence now. It's almost, I don't understand how we are not subsidizing people to take vitamin C, zinc, and vitamin D, since the evidence is irrefutable. It is, in my opinion, almost a crime, because we see the mortality rates in people with low vitamin D and other factors versus those with normal, and not even, again, positive, but just normal vitamin D. So again, I wanted to bring this to you because this is information you can share with other people, and you can start to then work on what the underlying root causes may be and begin to just rebalance the body. So again, we have to look at the body as a delicate set of homeostatic systems. And what that means is that your body's always trying to maintain equilibrium or balance. And it does that through vitamins, right? Through vitamin C, your vitamin D, which again can act like a hormone. You've got all of your B vitamins, and it also does it through minerals as well. And what are those minerals? Well, in this case, we're talking about a big one being zinc. Selenium's another. We're looking at iron. We're looking at chromium. So again, a lot of these things do matter. You want to make sure that you're getting them now before that you actually, that you run out, that you really need them. And just keep in mind that you can actually increase your dosages to a healthy level when needed in order to rebalance the body. So I'm going to keep it at that for today because I don't want to talk about, specific dosages, because then it looks like a treatment protocol for this, and it's not. But I give you specific dosages and all the different items on other shows just to work on underlying health conditions, not treatment plans. So head on over to stevencabral.com/1873 for all the previous viral-based shows, as well as my tongue diagnostic-based show as well. Take care, everyone. And as always, if this was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve.